So let's turn our attention to the Sub-Saharan African region. Africa is the second most populous continent in the world. With 53 countries and nearly 1 billion people, the challenges are indeed great. Here you see a map of our national member organizations colored by region of the world. Africa is also the most underrepresented geographical region within the World Federation. However, the goal of developing care for people with bleeding disorders must proceed in spite of the diverse and disparate needs and challenges facing this region. Notwithstanding that we will be doing so in the context of HIV/AIDS, malnutrition, malaria, and tuberculosis. I'd like to share with you our plan for developing Africa. Within Africa at present, only 15 nations, less than 1/3 of those within Africa, are national members of the WFH. In North Africa, Algeria, Egypt, Morocco, and Tunisia are members. Within the 3 regions of Sub-Saharan Africa, we have 11 members. During the 2010 WFH Congress, 3 additional African countries will join the WFH: Ethiopia, Ghana, and Tanzania. Also of note, outside of Africa, 2 additional countries from Latin America will join: Suriname and Bolivia. To maximize the results of the work in Africa, the WFH is encouraging countries to network and organize programs on a regional level. Integral to the approach of achieving treatment for all is building a core center of expertise within each African region, which can then serve as a hub for further development. WFH experience has shown that culturally appropriate training that occurs within a clinical care setting similar to those that would be experienced at home maximizes the opportunity for the sustainable development of care. To date, the WFH has established regional programming centers within South Africa in the Southern African region, Senegal in the West African region, and Kenya in the East African region. In both East and West Africa, the WFH started by improving diagnosis through regional laboratory workshops and by encouraging the development of national patient registries. Today, 5 out of 11 of the Sub-Saharan African countries now have patient registries. The WFH Laboratory Manual, Diagnosis of Hemophilia and Other Bleeding Disorders, it will soon be published in a new and expanded 2nd edition. This book serves as the primary educational and training tool for laboratory diagnosis in developing countries around the world. The next development step is to improve knowledge through targeted multidisciplinary training programs, particularly the musculoskeletal areas, physical therapy, rehabilitation, and orthopedics. Twinnings have proven to be a highly successful way to introduce care and build the core medical expertise within a country, and have served as a catalyst for the further development of sustainable care across a country. Twinnings pair emerging hemophilia treatment centers with established ones to help increase the level of diagnosis and medical attention. At present, the WFH has established or plans to establish medical twinning partnerships in all of the WFH member countries within Africa. To date, there have been 11 twinnings. Here you see a picture of the Gaborone twinning with Philadelphia. Together, they were named the Center Twins of the Year in 2008. Later this week, on Wednesday, we'll be announcing the 2009 winners for the Twins of the Year during our awards ceremony. WFH has established that 1 international unit of factor VIII clotting factor concentrate per capita should be the target minimum for countries wishing to achieve optimal survival for their hemophilia population. Overall, among the WFH member countries reporting factor usage within Africa, the IU per capita ranges from nearly 0 to 0.715 in South Africa, with an overall African average of 0.14. For comparison purposes, globally, the IU per capita for countries with a gross domestic product less than $2,000 is 0.024. For countries with a GDP of $2,000 to $10,000 the IU per capita is 1.03. The challenges are great. But given the enormity of the challenge, the recent advances in solvent detergent, virally inactivated single plasma donations, or mini pool cryoprecipitate could present a very promising advance in safety for this region and for other vulnerable populations and regions of the world. So let's drill down. Let's go look at Southern Africa. Our members in Southern Africa include Botswana, Lesotho, South Africa, and Zimbabwe. Health authorities in these countries typically provide clotting factor, although at a low level, usually less than 1 IU per capita, and they regularly utilize appropriate laboratory diagnosis. As most patients in the Southern African region have some access to clotting factor concentrates, the morbidity and mortality manifest differently than in other African regions. WFH advocacy work within this region has focused on increasing the quantity of clotting factor concentrates, expanding care to include other bleeding disorders, as well as the targeted introduction of support for those living with inhibitors. From a clinical perspective, our goal is to expand the focus on treatment guidelines to harmonize the management of care for patients across a country. In West Africa, although it's changing rapidly, typically diagnosis is quite difficult. Governments do not routinely provide treatment products, and health professionals have a limited knowledge about bleeding disorders. In West Africa, the members of the WFH are Cameroon, the Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and Senegal, and in just a few days, they will be joined by Ghana. Senegal is the most advanced of these countries in these respects and provides a very solid platform for WFH regional programming and training. WFH development programs within this region particularly focus on the basic elements, on the individual elements and the introduction of the comprehensive care model. For example, a regional musculoskeletal training program will be held later this year in Dakar. Given the economic capacity of the many countries in this region, clotting factor concentrates are, for the most part, unaffordable, at least in quantities necessary to dramatically improve the quality of life and outcomes for patients. All countries within this region report a very heavy reliance on fresh and prepared blood components, whole blood, fresh frozen plasma, and cryoprecipitate. Turning to East Africa, where Kenya serves as the focal point for our regional training activities. In this region, there are 3 members: Eritrea, Kenya, and Sudan, soon to be joined by Ethiopia and Tanzania. Like West Africa, these countries too are dependent upon fresh and prepared blood components. For most, there is limited or no clotting factor concentrate, other than that which is provided through humanitarian aid. Globally, in 2009, thanks to the generosity of our corporate partners, the WFH was able to distribute over 12 million international units of clotting factor concentrate to 55 countries in the world, not only to meet life-saving needs, but to also to provide a framework and a basis as a catalyst to achieving sustainable long-term care. Diagnostic capacity within this region does vary from country to country. Although all of the countries have been trained on laboratory diagnosis and techniques, diagnosis by factor assay is in fact limited because of the expense and the consequent lack of the necessary reagents. Similar to West Africa, the WFH focuses on incrementally increasing knowledge in the management of hemophilia, introduction of the comprehensive care approach, and improving the blood transfusion service to ensure that the preparation of blood products is in fact as safe as possibly can be. A regional musculoskeletal program will take place in Nairobi early next year. I've been focusing on the clinical side, but we also work on developing the capacity of our patient organizations as well. In 2009, the WFH celebrated a decade of facilitating training programs for our national member organizations. This first training program occurred in Murcia in 1999 in Spain. Our work has evolved and developed considerably since that time. As the WFH training programs evolved, we launched a regional advocacy training program in 2006. Over the course of the following 4 years, 8 training programs were held in all regions of the world. Here you see photos from the African workshop held in Cape Town last year. These trainings have offered participants the opportunity to engage in discussions with their peers and their neighbors, as well as learn from expert volunteers. Specifically, the interactive sessions were designed to provide participants the tools and the energy to go out and actually develop national advocacy campaigns. Building the capacity of patient organizations is equally important to training medical professionals. A strong medical-lay collaboration is essential if we're going to develop long-term sustainable care. In addition to an African treatment center being recognized as the Medical Twin of the Year in 2008, the pictures you see here are from the South Africa-Canada organizational twinning. They were named the Hemophilia Organization Twin of the Year in 2008. What a remarkable twin set of achievements for Africa. Adapting and implementing the WFH development model regionally is proving to be a successful approach for the development of care in Africa, for the introduction as well as the development of sustainable care programs. Through the targeted development of national programs in South Africa, Senegal, and Kenya, the WFH capacity is expanding. In addition, these countries are currently providing valuable regional examples to their neighbors. And further, the local medical professionals within these countries are now responsible for and leading many of our regional training programs.